What happened to Limited Too? If you were a tween in the 90s or 2000s, then the name Limited Too probably rings a bell. And you can probably remember their inflatable chairs, slogan t-shirts, and glitter gel pens like it was yesterday. One of the first stores to be centered around pre-teen girls specifically, Limited Too is fondly remembered for epitomizing tween trends of the era, fashion or otherwise. In today's video, we'll be taking a walk down memory lane and doing a deep dive into the once iconic brand that defined our childhoods. We'll be talking about its early beginnings, its rise in popularity, its less than glorious downfall, and its future. Let's get into it. Created in 1987, The Limited Too was initially conceived as a juvenile offshoot of The Limited, a clothing store created in the 1960s with a focus on young women. The Limited Too had fairly humble beginnings, selling clothing for infants, toddlers, and tweens inside of the Limited stores. These early designs from the brand complemented clothing sold at the Limited, meaning parents and children could match. And this mom appeal is often credited for the Limited Too's early success. Slowly but surely, the Limited Too began to grow a faithful following, and by the mid-90s, a handful of standalone stores had begun popping up, often located mere steps away from their parent store, the Limited, in order to maintain the mother-daughter dynamic they'd become known for. However, with the physical separation of the Limited Too from the Limited, they began to attract more tweens, a demographic which would eventually have the greatest influence on the brand. However, the company eventually reached a point of stagnation, with Michael W. Radin, then president and CEO, saying, quote, "When I got here in 1996, we were floundering." Part of the problem with the Limited Too's once successful strategy was that their clothing concept appealed to parents, but not to tweens themselves, with Radin saying, quote, "We were selling customers mini versions of the clothes her mother was buying. I don't know about you, but at 13, I probably wouldn't have wanted to dress up like my mom, so I can see why they were having issues." This lull in sales drove the company to pivot their focus to the growing preteen market, an age range between 7 and 14 that accounted for $4.5 billion in clothing sales in 1997 alone. This was quite a popular tactic around the time period, with other companies, like The Children's Place, making changes to their clothing and marketing strategies in order to appeal to the same demographic. Along with this change in customer base, the Limited Too also spun off from the Limited in order to establish a strong and independent brand identity, with Too Incorporated becoming their new parent company. They also dropped the from their name. During the 90s, tweens were receiving information at a faster rate than ever before, something owed to the rise of TV, the internet, and magazines, and young girls were gravitating towards trends worn by older teens at earlier and earlier ages. Noticing this, Limited Too took notes from the hottest fashion trends from the juniors and women's markets, but continued to appease parents by keeping the clothing modest. When explaining this emphasis on age appropriateness, Radin said, quote, "Our customer may aspire to the junior look, but that clothing is not always appropriate. You will not find a midriff top at our store." After fully making the transition to tween wear, Limited Too would develop a signature look that was easily recognized and continues to be memed about to this day. Besides selling your usual 2000s pieces like gauchos, initial purses, ponchos, and sleeveless polos, they would often incorporate hibiscus flowers, monkeys, glitter, sequins, and sports motifs into their designs, resulting in a look that was youthful, outdoorsy, and fun. Overall, these trends were fairly mainstream at the time, and you can spot outfits that look like they were taken right off of a mannequin from Limited Too in a bunch of 2000s tween media like Sleepover, Aquamarine, Zoe 101, and Unfabulous. By 1998, there were over 300 Limited Too stores across the country, with the vast majority being located inside of shopping malls, a place that their target audience frequented. Like their clothing, these stores were redesigned with tweens in mind, being brightly colored, whimsically decorated, and playing trendy pop music. Their sales associates were also part of this distinctive atmosphere, offering advice on outfits which made their young clientele feel as though they were being treated like real fashion-forward adults with money to spend. In order to make their customers linger in their stores for longer, they also installed photo booths, ear-piercing stations, and gumball machines, which created a shopping environment that catered to all of their shoppers' desires and senses. And one industry analyst even described Limited Too's store concept as a theme park specifically for young girls. The company was well aware of how the brand resonated with young girls at the time, with then store manager Giovanni Pergola stating, quote, "Girls know it's their store. Little girls can come in and shop and have a field day. We give them special treatment here. girls can get everything they need. Around this time period, Limited Too decided to expand outside of apparel, and they were soon selling other merchandise that tweens found relatable, desirable, or aspirational, like perfumes, CDs, furniture, snacks, school supplies, and makeup. Some parents found issue with the latter as they believed tweens were still too young to be introduced to makeup, but the brand continued to sell it regardless. These various items would often be packaged together in order to tell a story of what the ideal tween lifestyle looked like, which prompted shoppers to try and complete the entire set. And these themes ranged from school dances to pool parties to sleepovers. This aspirational lifestyle was mimicked in their advertising, which focused on fun, fashion, and friends, and Limited Too became the epitome of tween living. In late 1999, Limited Too launched a catalog which was mailed directly to 1.5 million preteen girls. And in addition to its purchasable products, the catalog was also designed to mimic tween magazines of the time like Tiger Beat, Bop, and J14. This catalog included various articles with fashion advice and beauty tips, as well as crossword puzzles and a calendar of trendy events like movie releases and concert dates. Keeping in line with this cool tween branding, Limited Too also ran ads in 17 and Teen People to continue cultivating its aspirational image. Limited Too's website also debuted in 1999, and it was just as fashion-forward and pop culture-focused as the company's other marketing materials. Like their catalog, the website was a place that young girls could buy clothing directly, but they also made it a tween sanctuary of sorts, with the website having articles, games, quizzes, polls, and DIY projects. By 2001, Limited Too had become one of the biggest names in the tween girl market, and in order to maintain its lead, they increased their marketing, which included contests where tweens could win tickets to their favorite artists, as well as an increase in in-store events, including meet and greets with young actors. This eventually culminated in Too-Palooza, a concert hosted by the brand which featured popular musical acts like Jessica Simpson and Aaron Carter. This concert showed how in tune the company was with their audience, as they were able to not only sell tween girls clothing, but also sell them an experience. Limited Too also began collaborating with other brands that were popular with tweens, even releasing a clothing line inspired by Disney's Lizzie McGuire, a franchise which was known for being fashion-forward. Following the success of this collaboration, Limited Too would go on to partner up with other 2000s pop culture staples like High School Musical, Nintendo, Lego, Hannah Montana, Neopets, My Scene, Webkinz, and Build-A-Bear Workshop. They even hosted events in collaboration with McDonald's, allowing people to eat and shop at the same time, a strategy we've seen Target use with huge success in more recent years with Starbucks. In an effort to tap into the older teen market, Too Incorporated launched a new retail concept called Mishmash in 2001, but the chain folded in 2003 due to high competition, as well as the company's insufficient experience with that demographic. Many of these Mishmash stores would eventually be converted into some of the first Justices in early 2004. Justice, Just for Girls, had a very similar premise to Limited Too, not only selling many of the same goods, but also targeting the same tween girl demographic. The only notable difference between the two besides branding was the sizing, which ran larger at Justice, and the price point, with Justice coming in at an average 25% cheaper than Limited Too. In 2006, Too Incorporated changed its name to Tween Brands Incorporated, an early warning sign that the company intended to distance itself from Limited Too. And in August 2008, they announced that they would be discontinuing all 586 Limited Too stores, choosing to rebrand them as Justices while still offering higher quality Limited Too clothing at select locations. If you're wondering what prompted them to kill their golden goose, I have a very simple answer for you: the recession. As mentioned, Justice was far more affordable than Limited Too was, and during a time when people were pinching pennies, a company that was able to cater to that need had a leg up on the competition. Plus, the numerous tie-ins and licensed collaborations that had once been profitable for the company had wound up stabbing it in the back. Firstly, their once enviable tween lifestyle had been replaced by blatant product placements, and Limited Too had developed a reputation for being the company that advertised other companies. Secondly, salespeople were pressured to push these expensive limited edition products, and while kids no doubt loved these upsold goods, to parents it was a turnoff. With all these factors combined, I don't think it's surprising in the least that the company decided to switch things up while they still had a chance. In 2009, Tween Brands Incorporated was acquired by Dress Barn, who created a spin-off line in 2010 called Brothers, which was sold at select Justice stores in the hopes of growing their customer base to tweens of all genders. By June 2012, the number of Justice stores had increased to 920, and the chain wound up outselling both Walmart and Target in the girls' apparel category in the latter half of 2011 and the first half of 2012. Justice made very few changes to Limited 2's format, even releasing products in collaboration with tween celebrities like JoJo Siwa and Mackenzie Ziegler, and Justice managed to be rather successful over the course of the decade. However, like many physical stores, they struggled to remain relevant throughout the digital age, and in 2020 its parent organization filed for bankruptcy, and by the end of the year, every single Justice store had closed. While Justice might have helped kill Limited 2, it would be Limited 2 that would have the last laugh. After years of lying dormant, Limited 2's trademark was purchased by Blue Star Alliance in 2015, with the company intending to revive the brand the following year, with their target being the children of Limited 2's original audience, bringing everything full circle. Keeping true to their word, Limited 2 began to release tween clothing once again, but on a much smaller scale as they no longer had brick-and-mortar stores, and the vast majority of their products were sold through other retailers like Amazon, Walmart, and JCPenney. In 2017, there was a pop-up event that got some people talking about the brand once again, but I'd say that the vast majority of the public are blithely unaware of the fact that the company has even attempted a comeback. As we already mentioned in this video, Limited 2 built a name for itself by understanding what made tweens tick, but their return feels like it was made for moms instead. I don't think this is entirely Limited 2's fault, as in recent years the line between tween and teen has become more blurred, and as a result many young brands have focused on toddlers and children instead, resulting in a look that doesn't really work for anyone between the ages of 10 and 14. I also think that the current iteration of Limited 2 doesn't really have anything that makes it feel unique or fashion-forward, with the majority of its clothing looking like something you could buy from the kids section in Target. I also hate to say it, but the marketing itself is incredibly chuggy, for lack of a better word. And based off of the photos, I don't know what kid or tween would look at it and go, I want that. Instead, it all feels like something a grandma on Facebook would share. Limited 2 definitely has the potential for a real comeback. After all, 2000s nostalgia is at its peak. If it was reimagined properly, I think it could become popular with today's tweens who are searching for that type of shopping experience, as well as millennial parents who wouldn't mind stopping by for old time's sake. Did you ever shop at Limited 2? I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!